You're listening to a Mamamia podcast.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this podcast is recorded on.
If you're missing your weekly Out Loud routine over the break, we wanted to let you know that we are still dropping episodes for Mamamia subscribers. So you can get full access to Out Loud, including the back catalogue of over 150 subscriber-only episodes. Subscribe to Mamamia via the link in the episode description. Hello Out Louders, it is Jessie Stephens in your ears and happy Christmas. If you are celebrating, I hope you have a great day with your family. If you are not, maybe you're having a chilled, relaxed day sitting with a book, maybe you're by a pool, maybe you're not, maybe it's a bit of a tough day. I know that Christmas can be tough for some people, but we are here in your ears as always. Holly, Mia and I are currently on our summer break, but while we're off, we wanted to revisit some of our favourite conversations and topics from this year. And while we're here, thank you so much for being an Out Louder. We love talking to you guys. Every single day, you might be sick of us, maybe not, but we hope you enjoy it.
Mia and I had a bit of argy-bargy about triggers. We are not going back there, friends. No more argy-bargies about triggers. Today we're talking about the opposite of triggers, or at least they're being sold to us as the opposite of triggers. I'm not sure if they are. Glimmers. So if triggers are something that make you feel unsafe and anxious, glimmers are meant to be mini experiences in your life that make you feel safe and warm. An example might be walking in nature, patting your dog, having a lovely cup of hot chocolate, right? Now, those are all things that you might just do anyway, but putting the word glimmer on them means these are things to instill in your life that bolster you. So say we're all out in the world and the slings and arrows are coming at us.
They do.
Things are tough.
Yeah.
And we might be being made to feel anxious by the news cycle or by whatever's going on. The things that fill us up and make us feel safer, more resilient and more invincible are all the lovely little things, the reminders that life is good.
I have a question about glimmers because, you know, I need to have things well defined as concepts. Is a glimmer something that just happens once, or it's in the same way that a trigger sparks a bad memory or puts you back to a place of distress? Does a glimmer have to just not be one nice thing that makes you feel good, but it has to have a bigger association?
A glimmer really is something that you might start putting into your daily routine.
So you can identify what they are for you.
So it's supposed to help you regulate. On the subscriber episode about Ask Me Anything, and we were talking about me moving to the country. And I told you that I like to go and sit near the river near my house sometimes where it's quiet. And you were like, that sounds like hell. I didn't think about it at the time, but that's a glimmer because I can, my personality and my life and everything, I can be susceptible to overwhelm and getting stressed and anxious and my head falling off a bit. Doing things like that, like learning as I get older, the things I need to put in my life that calm me down, help me regulate. So maybe it was you and Sally Hepworth were having a conversation once on a podcast, not just out in the world, where you were talking about, maybe Sally was talking about, after she's been to a busy book event or whatever, she needs to like re-regulate herself, and she's got ADHD as you do. And she does that by going back to her hotel or whatever and having her phone on, the TV on, all her stuff around her, lots of stimulation but alone to recharge. Now that is a glimmer for her. For me, that would cause me to be more anxious.
I see. Oh, this is wonderful. Now I'm thinking of a million glimmers. All right, let's go one at a time.
Because I think mine are probably pretty basic. My glimmers are definitely walking my dog somewhere beautiful. Like I get very calm nature. I like to be out in nature.
Are you listening to a podcast at the time?
I haven't been lately
Listen
because
to me. I always get anxious when there's not enough stimulation around you.
And this is very true, right? So I can be, but I haven't been lately because I'm trying to train the dog. And actually what I've learned in that, because I'm, don't want to have my headphones in so I can be like, come here, do this, be a bit more present. It's actually been more calming. There's another little learning for me. So my glimmer, because a lot of people say, oh, nature's a good glimmer. For me, it is. For you, it's probably not, right?
No.
I
don't like it.
You don't like it. So your glimmer might be
tea.
Yes.
I had the best time writing down some glimmers, but before I tell you what some of mine are, I think we did a little bit of vox poppies around the office in case you're bored of Holly and my voice. With only the two of us. Why. Here are what some other women around the Mamamia office said are their glimmers.
There's nothing more calming than the feeling of slipping into bed after you've just put fresh bedding on, clean sheets. Something about it soothes my soul.
My glimmer is the first cup of tea that I have, and I genuinely look forward to it every single morning.
Mine's kind of weird because I'm childless, but babies, whenever I see babies in prams, I'm like, oh, they're so cute. It just makes me feel so happy.
For me, it's when a song ends just as you enter your driveway, especially when it's like a Taylor Swift song. Oh my gosh, wow. Yeah, wow.
Going for a swim on like a really cold winter's day when the sand is super cold and you're walking on it, and then the ocean's like a bit warmer than like the outside temperature. It's a nice feeling of like your feet defrosting in the ocean too.
Okay, my glimmer, I know it's weird, is when you are driving on the road and you see an ambulance coming from behind and everyone merges over and everyone lets everyone in and everyone moves to the left to let the ambulance through, and it's like faith restored in humanity. We can all collectively work together to make sure someone gets the help that they need faster. And I think it's really nice and it makes me cry every time, and I know it's weird.
Oh, that's incredible. I feel exactly the same way. I can't believe she articulated that. I never have consciously thought of it, but I feel the same way. I find it very moving when everybody moves out of the way for an ambulance, even though you are legally required to do so.
Because you let people just be
okay.
Like, nah.
So many of my glimmers are around tea. Yeah. So tea overall, if I had to choose one glimmer, it's tea. It's my recalibration, it's my reset, it's my comfort, it's my self-care, it's all of those things. But there's some specifics. So the sound of tea, but when my husband puts the tea next to my bed in the morning, that's like one of the first conscious sounds I hear if he's got up before me. That's incredible. Then the first sip of that tea, I often make a happy tea noise that's involuntary that goes like this. Oh,
that's not a very calming noise.
I know, but it's like it's in my soul. Feeling my meds kick in the morning, my ADHD meds, that's a glimmer. Looking into my dog's eyes, watching them run in the park. There's something about getting to the park or the beach and watching my dogs run, like it's the running. I don't know, there's something in my soul that it feels very satisfying. Sitting around the table with my family when there's some banter.
Yeah.
That's a glimmer for me.
But ideally not argument.
Yeah. And then showers are a glimmer. That's a big reset for me. And then also just rearranging my clothes.
Yeah, I was thinking about your closet and your
playing with my clothes.
Yes.
Playing with my things.
Yes, that's definitely a glimmer reset for you.
Yeah.
I love lying in bed with my son making him laugh. Like if I'm doing that, I am having the best little moment. It's what I realized about glimmers is I think we talked about this when we were talking about happiness at some point recently, is I think maybe as you get older, what you realize about happiness is it's not like a consistent state. It's recognizing the little moments and going, that was good.
Is that
I was
a glimmer?
happy. I think that's what a glimmer is. And it makes you, and in a way you then stash them, you know what I mean? And they make you feel better because if you know that you've had a full-on week at work and everybody needs things from you, as I know that you always do, and then you get to play in your closet and talk to your family and walk your dog, they might seem like the most normal things. Well, of course, that's what you do on the weekend, but actually they're like stacking back up into those moments.
Like filling your tank.
Yeah. Because I like being on my own and I don't get to do it very often. Because Brent's been away this last week, when the kids finally go to bed, they never go to bed anymore. So annoying. And the house is really quiet. And I just get that moment when I can go, I can watch whatever I want. I could have a glass of wine.
Could have a
or a
dinner.
cup of tea. Or a girl dinner.
A bitsy tea.
Yeah, bitsy tea.
Lots of families use tracking apps to keep tabs on their kids, and we've discussed this on the show before, that Holly finds this really creepy. However, now people are using apps to track their friends, and Holly's losing her shit. The app Find My iPhone debuted in 2009, and it was designed to use GPS data so that users who might be quite forgetful could track their iPhones. Very handy, very clever. Find My Friends arrived 2 years later, and that's what the app became. And it was marketed towards anxious parents, also like me, who wanted to keep tabs on where their children were. Very effective. Now, in our family, we actually use an app called Family 360.
Yeah.
Incredibly helpful. It actually works better than Find My Friends for keeping track of the family. But in an article that appeared in 9 newspapers, it says that a lot of people are not just tracking family members, they're using it to track their friends. The article details some of the different ways that people are using it. Some people use it to track their friends when they're going on dates with people that they've met on dating apps.
That's sensible.
To make sure that, that gets the tick
use
of approval.
case. Yep.
Others might use it to check their friends have arrived home safely after a late night out. Holly, do you approve of that?
Yes.
Yes, she approves of that.
With consent.
Actually, I think I approve of that more than the date. I just was thinking about the date and I was thinking, what if you went home with the person and you didn't necessarily want your friend to know that you did and you turned it off and they'd panic? And anyway,
Call the police.
Going down a rabbit hole.
Holly's slut-shaming her non-existent friends. One person uses Find My Friends with about 15 people, including her best friend, and she says we use it to stalk each other to see if we went on shopping trips without each other.
Now I'm upset. I have a personal perspective on this, which is that I hate.
I feel like you're doing some secretive shit, Holly.
No, like,
So do I.
this is the thing is I'm not doing anything weird.
Sure.
But I hate the idea of people knowing where I am all the time. It just really upsets me. And I was thinking about it when we were preparing for this. I'm like, why? Like, why does it upset me so much, the idea that you might know that I always stop at Heathcote Macca's on the way when I drive back down the coast, like nearly every single time, probably this afternoon. Why do I care whether you know that? It's my business. Get out of my business, right? Like, I'm a grown-up person who can do what I want, when I want, go where I want, and I don't have to be accountable to everybody. But then I think there's like a bigger thing, which is so many people are not uncomfortable with this. I'm obviously a bit weird in that I'm so uncomfortable with the idea of tracking. It makes sense with teenagers. It makes sense in lots of ways. But the idea of my partner always knowing where I am, all those things, I just find it really uncomfortable, but lots of people don't. And I wonder if this, when I was reading this story, I was like, you codependent weirdos, no offense, you codependent weirdos, that we've pulled down the curtain of privacy so hard, and maybe because our generation has very much grown up with nothing is private, what you're eating for your lunch, what you wear. And I do all that too. Don't get me wrong. I, show you pictures of my vegetables, for God's sake. But like, we've pulled down the veil of privacy so hard that it has no value, and the intimacy is seen as, I have no secrets from you. Whereas the idea of my friend texting me and going, why are you in Mecca? Like, I hate it when people call you and they say, what are you doing? I'm like, none of your business.
See, in this article, there's a guy who says that he lives in New York and has 47 friends on Find My Friends. And my question is, how do you have 47 friends? But he tracks them because he's like, it's so hard to just spontaneously plan something. So if I see someone's nearby, I'll ask them if they want to get a drink. And I'm like, that is my single worst nightmare. I may be in your suburb, but if I have not contacted you,
yes, exactly.
I do not want to see you.
That's true.
It's like this idea that like we all owe everybody, like, oh, well, you're there, so why don't you? It's like, no.
So you're accountable
Do your kids
to
not
me.
have Snapchat, Hol?
Matilda does. And this is the other thing, is that so Snap Maps, which is when everyone can see where they are, I talk to her about it all the time too. I mean, there are obvious issues with that, right? Which is like, everybody's around at Betty's house. Why aren't I around at Betty's house? But even just on a more basic level than that, I tell her all the time, you are your own person and you don't owe everybody your whereabouts and your actions every day. Not even me. She doesn't even owe me that. As long as she's safe, I do not have the right to know what she's doing all the time.
God, you're the weirdo.
This came up. I had an Apple Watch and everybody was sharing their exercise data.
That was such a funny
And I did it for about a week and then thought, wait, no, I don't want anybody to see my exercise data. So the only person I had it on with was my dad, because I'm like, he's not, he knows I'm lazy. He's not going to be upset by that. And then somehow we were checking each other's data and we ended up doing the Find My iPhone, Find My Friends thing. And so he is the only person whose location I have and he has my location. And it's quite cute because he will call me just middle of the day and be like, what are you doing in Parramatta?
Oh my God.
Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, hey, Dad, yeah, I'm here because I have jury duty. Like, that's an interesting conversation.
Cute.
But I would absolutely love to track Jessie and Luna. I feel like it would save time because what you were saying, Holly, about people calling, being like, what are you doing? That's me and Jessie a million times a day. We're just not like technically savvy or organised enough to do that. Maybe we should put like an actual little thing on Luna's head. Like an air tag.
An air tag.
So we know where she is.
In a little onesie.
Yeah, so we know where she is.
Holly, I think maybe you are a spy. Or
I
you
know.
work for
Holly's
ASIO.
doing shady stuff.
Don't you feel the need to be allowed to do your own private business and not justify your actions to people at all times when you're wandering around Westfield or whatever?
Yeah, I do. But also my kids just call me constantly. Like the thing with being a helicopter parent is that we create helicopter children. So it's like, where are you? Where are you? And I mean, my children also, the part that I don't like, even my children being able to see me, is that when they say, where are you? And I say, I'm almost there because I'm meant to be picking them up from sport or whatever. And they're like, you're lying.
That's the other thing.
You're 20 minutes
You're
away.
in the office.
Yeah.
It makes you a little too accountable, doesn't it? But what about friends, though? Because kids are different, right? I think we could try and justify that. But what about other people in your life? Like, do you mind if people know where you are and what you're doing all the time?
I just always forget to check it. Like,
me too.
You know, the idea of tracking where all my friends are or even one friend just feels like more mental load to me. But it is funny thinking, Hol, about the time in the 80s when everyone lost their minds at the idea of the Australia card, which was going to be a card that people had, which had like, I don't know, their name on it and maybe their date of birth. And it was like, no, I will not share that information with the government. And now it's like cookies 20 times a day.
And we're all being tracked all the time.
No worries, cookies. Like if Mark Zuckerberg knows where I am, surely my closest friends can know where I am.
First there was girl dinner and now there's girl maths. And I've never been more obsessed with a mathematical concept in that I don't know a single other mathematical concept. Now, we're in a cost of living crisis and economists are using all sorts of big words to explain what we should be doing. But there are economists and then there are women who I might add are statistically better at managing their money than men. And this might explain why. So an Out Louder last week sent me a TikTok of a segment from a New Zealand radio show called Fletch, Vaughan and Hayley, and it's called Girl Maths. And what they do is they get women to call in with something they've purchased for a lot of money, so say a $400 handbag. And all the female producers on the show and the female host justify why that's actually a really good purchase in this economy.
Girl maths, exclamation mark, help, exclamation mark.
Oh, okay.
I just bought the Deadly Ponies Mr. Molten tote.
Oh, la la.
Help me justify it. Hashtag
my
girl
God.
maths.
How much is $1,000. That's $1,000 bag.
What?
I have a Deadly Ponies handbag. I've had for 5 years. So now you're at $200 a year. You're less than $1 a day. Mine wasn't $1,000, so I'm even smaller than that.
Yeah.
So they talk about sophisticated economic concepts like cost per wear, resale value, the item having multiple purposes, and so on. One brilliant example was a woman who was considering getting really expensive hair extensions for her wedding, like $5,000, and she just didn't know if she could justify the cost. But Girl Maths actually proved that if she looked back on her wedding photos and hated her hair, she'd probably feel the need to get remarried in the years to come, which would cost, say, $50,000. So by getting the $5,000 hair extensions, she was actually saving $45,000.
Oh, I'm so here for this.
Yeah.
Faultless.
It's faultless. Now, I've been actively participating in Girl Maths forever without actually realising it.
Same. I just didn't know there was a name for it.
I called my sister a few days before my wedding because I'd found a dress I really liked for my reception, but I just didn't know if it was ridiculous to spend more money on a second outfit when I'd spent more money than I ever had on this event. But she was like, you don't want to look back at your wedding photos and wonder, not when you've spent so much money.
You can't put a price on that.
No. So you simply have to spend hundreds of dollars on this second dress just to further validate the money that you've already spent. And we discussed resale value, which I did end up reselling it for almost what I purchased it for.
Can we ask for the dollar figure?
Yes, it was $500. And then I literally resold it for like $400, $450. Like
bad.
a few days
That's
later.
a $50 dress,
You couldn't have rented it for that much.
No, there is the possibility of renting it out. That's how women justify things.
You're
but
in
the
profit.
thing is, I'm a lazy girl. I'm not going to rent it out. So I might sell it once. But even that is a lot of admin. So on the radio show, the women describe girl maths as a lifestyle and a delusion, which is exactly what it is. Elfie, when have you used girl maths?
I don't know if I use girl maths very regularly. I'm a very conservative shopper, but I do currently have a girl maths issue that I would love to bring to the table. So, as I have mentioned before on the podcast, I had a hair dyeing disaster recently that made me cry in a salon. And now I have slightly strange hair. So my hair, it's fine. It is fine. It has a dye over it at the moment that is soon to wash out and will reveal the nightmare underneath that makes me look like a 2009 emo. Now, I know full well that if I get a dye job to repair this and maybe push it in a direction that I like, it will be like $500. Is it worth it on the basis that A, I don't like my hair, I don't like how I look in the morning when I get up, and also B, my boyfriend laughs at me quite a lot. Is $500 worth that much?
Absolutely. It's worth it for so many reasons. One, consider the amount of money you spend on your appearance, makeup, clothes, all of that, to sacrifice that. Like, do you know what I mean?
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. With hair you don't love. It's a mathematical equation.
That's just a vibe. I can do better than that because I think that when you're feeling bad about your hair, for example, and you're not spending the $500, you are much more likely to spend money on other things, clothes, makeup, a new pair of glasses, jewelry, things to fill that hole in your self-esteem.
Fill the hair hole. Yep.
That needs to just be
as we
spent
know
on
how
hair.
problematic this is, please don't cancel us. We understand. I'm going to tell you my girl math and how it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I park and I don't get a parking fine, like if I think I could park there and it would be really convenient, but I could get a parking fine and it would be like $120. So I'll drive around the block and I'll park a bit further away. And then I will say, I just saved $120.
The things I could spend that on.
And I do. Because I'm like, I just made a profit.
That's the best way to look at the world.
Yes.
You must be happy every day.
Similarly, when I buy something on sale, say I buy something for $100 and it was 50% off, so it cost $200, I then have another free $100 to spend.
You've made money.
Of course.
I made a profit.
So I asked around the office and it took very little explanation for people to know exactly what I was talking about. And these were some of the further principles of girl maths.
I feel like if I'm paying for something with cash, it's basically free.
Absolutely. If I pay in cash, it didn't come out of my bank account. So that's free money.
Girl math to me is getting Ubers everywhere because I don't have a car. I'd have to spend so much money on Ubers to pay for the upfront cost of a car, then plus maintenance, registration, insurance, petrol, all that stuff that comes along with a car. Plus, even if I had a car, I'd still be getting Ubers to some places. So getting Ubers saves me money.
Could I get public transport?
So you're
yes,
in profit.
But that's not part of the equation. This one I loved, which was,
If I'm looking at buying something online for $60 and I get to the checkout and shipping is an extra $20, but I get free shipping if I spend $100, then I'm definitely spending that extra $40, and in my head I save $20 on shipping because even though I spent that extra money to get to my $100 total, I got a tangible product in exchange for it, whereas shipping is intangible and I get absolutely nothing from it.
Again, foolproof logic.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Also, in airports,
money doesn't count.
Things don't cost money.
True.
Money is free.
Yes.
That's the only way you can not pass out when you have to pay like $10 for a coffee.
Yeah, because money and time are not real in airports. Everyone knows that.
Can I say something about this concept? So we're calling it girl maths, right? And I would like to point out that on the radio segment that you showed me, Claire, the guy in the radio studio is always like, "Gah!"
He is yelling. He is so angry.
So upset about girl maths. And what I would like to say to him and to any other man who has an issue with this is that female purchases are seen as frivolous. Female purchases are seen as needless. And yet, I think if you sat the average guy down and asked him why he chose to spend $2,000 on a speaker system that you can't hear the difference on, there would be no logic to it.
The amount, their hobbies. You know, like my hobby, might be doing like a little Pilates class. Their hobby will be thousands of dollars for a golf membership, thousands of dollars on golf gear, thousands of dollars on what you've got to wear to golf.
Cycling.
It's just, oh my gosh, don't even get me started on cycling. Girl Maths is foolproof. We are very good at money. And in this financial crisis, we need more of it. That's all for today. But if you are missing us over your summer break and you want some fresh episodes, you're sitting there going, I've listened to all of this. Well, we have great news because we are releasing new episodes for our subscribers. If you're interested and you want to join us, perfect time of year to do it. We have a back catalogue of hundreds of episodes of subscriber content you haven't heard. Follow the link in the show notes, and a big thank you to our subscribers.